Testing, testing, one, two, three.
Test. There's the big thumbs up, thank you. Okay, members, item 1 is apologies. I have one apology from Councillor Mary O'Dowd. Can I check if there's any others from the floor, please? No others, okay. Members, declarations of interest, we'll take those as we move along, if that's okay. And then that takes us in then to our decision items in the Environmental Health Report 3.1, and Gillian, I believe, is going to take us through this one.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair. Good evening, members. The item at 3.1 is a consultation response on new rules for selling and supplying puppies and kittens. It's under our Welfare and Dog Control Service. The decision required this evening, members, is that you consider and agree the consultation response to this consultation and agree to officers forwarding the response to the Department by the closing date of the 15th of September 2025, advising that it remains in draft and subject to Council ratification and call-in. And members, you'll see some of the explanation for that in the body of the report. Members, if I could take just a few moments to go through some of these key areas. It is a very important consultation document and one which, as officers, we want to bring to your attention. In May 25, the Department, the Minister, proposed an animal welfare pathway. And members, you will know that we already have statutory responsibility for animal welfare for non-farmed animals. That's domestic pets, equines and other animals classed as companion animals. And we're responsible also for all aspects of dog licensing enforcement. And I do make the point, members, that we have no role currently in relation to the breeding, sale, licensing or management of cats. Judith here, Judith Jordan manages that service, so I want to pay tribute to Judith and the leadership and all of the team working there within that service. Members, I would say that these new rules are for the sale and supply of puppies and kittens in Northern Ireland, and bringing in a registration regime that the owners of puppies and pups, dogs and cats, where there is a litter, would be responsible for registering with the council. The objective is to also to end third-party sales, that the sale or transfer of ownership of the pup or kitten would be done at its place of birth and with the mother there along with the cat or kitten. The consultation proposes that councils will be the enforcement and regulatory body. This will create a new proposed statutory regime for the management of cats outside the current scope of statutory duties. And I would say that the regulatory investigation and enforcement processes may not necessarily be the most appropriate place to start in relation to a brand new category of animals. Members, there is throughout the report a series of sets out what the proposals are, and I would draw your attention to the responsibilities on the registered person. There would be conditions associated with this registration, that the sale or transfer must take place at the place of the animal's birth in the presence of the biological mother, with the aim to prevent third-party sales through middlemen and pet shops. It is an extension to members what will maybe remember about Lucy's Law, which was brought in England around the death of a sick puppy. Members, the consultation does say that there is no obligation on councils to inspect or visit these premises, but I think we all understand that cats and dogs and pet ownership is a very emotive subject, and so we do understand that it's perhaps more likely to fall to council than perhaps the consultation hints at, in that we would be obliged to investigate complaints or issues around cats, dogs and registration for the sale. That is a concern for us in terms of the resources which we already have. Members, at page 4 of the report, we do go through some comments around why we have framed the consultation responses in the way we have. I would at this point say that council absolutely and officers do welcome strategies to improve animal welfare, but we do comment that proposed new legal requirements without a robust and transparent impact on councils is something which we feel needs to be brought to attention. These are additional responsibilities for categories of animals for which we have no control other than investigating welfare. It does reflect a growing and concerning trend where central government seeks to devolve responsibilities to local government without a corresponding transfer of resources and finance and protections. And it is in the context, members, of the withdrawal of animal welfare funding some 2 years ago from all councils in Northern Ireland. That was a loss of 1.25 million across all councils, and for this council in providing the service for Newry, Morning Down was a loss of £250,000. That is still the subject of a judicial review. Members, officers are of the view that there are other reforms that ought to be addressed before this one, particularly in relation to the registration of cats. Also, members, there is an ongoing review of dog breeding legislation, and there is an expert panel set up, and as officers we consider that it would be more appropriate to include elements around the registration of puppies within that review, because they do overlap and they are deemed to tackle the same issues. And members, we feel that to bring forward registration as a standalone would be premature before awaiting the outcome of that review. We do consider that controls and oversight in the commercial and professional breeding of cats may well be appropriate, but we do envisage some significant issues around what you might call a family cat, or cats which perhaps roam across a number of owners or a number of people in an area. As I say, we do believe that engagement and education to support the control and behaviour of cats would be more appropriate in the first instance, rather than jumping to a regulatory and an enforcement position. Stakeholder groups could be supported to deliver education, engagement, and perhaps even cat spaying vouchers and such like, without immediately moving to that enforcement. Members, I do want to say that current staff and financial resources in council will not be able to manage or deliver these proposals. If this comes about, we will require additional financial and staffing resources to deliver these proposals and to set up all of the business support requirements that this will need. So members, I have spent some time, thank you for your patience in allowing me to go through these comments. Members, the consultation is very detailed. It is set out at Appendix 2. I don't propose to go through the answers to those in that draft consultation, because the main comments I have gone through with you now in the body of the report. We are of course happy to take any questions, deal with any issues you have, and certainly Judith and I can do our best to help you with them if there's any comments you want to make. So thank you, members, for your time.
Thank you, Gillian, for that very comprehensive overview. Before I bring in Councillor Evans, tonight online we have Alderman Barr, Alderman Kennedy, Councillor Wilson, Councillor McCartan and Councillor Flaherty. I'll bring you in now, Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Gillian and Judith. I don't have any questions because I think I've already took up enough of your time asking numerous questions about this when I seen it was coming through. I'm happy to propose. I think we've made some very good points, but we need to be pushing the fact that if there's no funding with this, we can't as a council take on another responsibility that has once again came to us with no funding, but quite happy to propose.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Can I have a seconder for that proposal, please? Seconded by Councillor Alexander. Thank you, members. Content to move on? Okay. 3.2 then, Gillian, you're going to take us through that one as well.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So item 3.2 is the food service plan, and the recommendation is that members approve the food service plan for 2025-26. Members, the Food Standards Agency requires each council to have an up-to-date and a very detailed documented service plan which covers all areas of food law. That sets out the aims and objectives of the service, the profile of the council and the services which are operated, the way at which will be delivered, the targets, resources, how we will monitor our service and how we will review it. So Appendix 3 is a very detailed document. Again, members, at this point, I think it's always good to acknowledge the dedication of the food team under Paula O'Neill's leadership and supported by Danielle and Kathleen. Recognising that we do have a leading team in Northern Ireland, we have a competent and a very, very conscientious group of officers working to support our food businesses, and that's right from the small food producer who may be producing from their home right the way through to our global companies, which we support right through that agri-food and our food manufacturing base here across the borough. And we are recognised within Northern Ireland as having set very high standards for our team, and particularly the work that they do on engagement for food businesses. So the service plan sets out the work of the food team, and so members, tonight I am recommending and asking you that you approve the food service plan for 25-26.
Thank you, Gillian. Members, can I get a proposer and seconder, please? Proposed by Councillor Evans, seconded by Alderman Greenfield. Thank you. Okay, content to move on. That takes us then to our information items. 3.3, have we any questions on 3.3? Okay, no lights on. What about 3.4? Okay, happy to move on. 4.1 then is the draft amended cemetery management rules and regulations, and Claire is going to take us through that one.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, members. This paper relates to the cemetery management rules and regulations. So we have several key pieces of legislation which govern how we as a council ensure that our burial grounds are safe, both for staff but also visitors. We are committed to carrying out our legal obligations whilst ensuring that we provide a consistent high standard of service within our cemeteries. In 2019, members agreed to implement Council Cemeteries Rules and Regulations booklets to harmonise the management of cemeteries across all of ABC Borough Council. Since then, there have been a number of changes within the cemetery service, and the new rules booklet has therefore been revised to reflect these changes. Some of the key amendments that we have included are the introduction of one single booklet. Some minor amendments have been included to terminology to ensure that it is more clarity for readers, and also there have been considerations in terms of the management of plot provision and involving health and safety. So members, I don't propose going through all of the amendments. They are all included in the document. We've also had screening carried out, and all I ask of you is that you approve the amended cemetery management rules and regulations and authorise officers to commence a programme of public consultation. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Members, I have no lights on. Could I get a proposer and seconder for that, please? Proposed by Alderman Berry, seconded by Councillor Nelson. Thank you. Okay, then, is it Claire, are you going to take 4.3? Kirsty is then going to take 4.3 for us, please. Oh, sorry, 4.2.
Good evening, everybody. Through the chair, this is Council's public response on the DAERA consultation of the Northern Ireland Draft Climate Action Plan for 2023 to 2027. It's quite a detailed response from Council. All departments have had the opportunity to feed back. So this is a collective response. It's quite detailed. So throughout our own department and biodiversity, and of course the rest of our departments, we've all come together and we've provided a very detailed response, which you can find in the appropriate appendix, which is Appendix 1.
Thank you, Kirsty. I'm going to bring in Councillor McClellan, please.
Okay, Chair, thank you, and thank you, Kirsty, for your response. Chair, at the very outset, I would declare an interest as an owner of an arable farm and been mindful of the code of conduct in doing that. I would, however, wish to make a number of comments regarding this response. And I suppose the first one I would say, certainly we on the DUP benches on this council are deeply concerned about certain elements of this council response, and indeed we wouldn't be in agreement with it going forward. And I suppose one of the main reasons for that would be the potential reputational damage that this response, if left, and I mean I'm thinking particularly of question 15, for example. As a council, we make much of the food heartland, we make much of the agri-strategy and so on, and yet if some of the response in the two paragraphs at question 15 goes ahead, it has the potential to decimate the agri sector in not only this borough, but in Northern Ireland. And when we as a council are using words such as discourage production, that's in there. We're using words like agroforestry and tree planting and wetland restoration. And the sense that I get is they are going to be used widespread. They do have their place. I'm doing some of them on my own farm, but just it's the tone of the response that is particularly concerning. And as I say, I'll repeat it. If this goes forward, we are effectively speaking out of two sides of our mouth, because we have the heartland and we have the agri strategy, and then we have some of the stuff in these two paragraphs at question 15. So I'll leave my comments there, Chair, but certainly we on these benches are deeply concerned about this response. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor McClellan. Because you declared an interest at the beginning, someone else would have to propose that.
Well, I didn't mention a proposal. I part my comments.
Okay, I will bring in Councillor Nelson.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. And look, it's a council response to, oh, you're not the Lord Mayor anymore. Apologies. Sorry. Please apologise to Alderman Mucha. Thank you, Chair. Look, I'm happy to propose the response. You know, I absolutely hear what Councillor McClelland is saying, but that is a DUP view, and we're being asked for a council corporate view, and I'm sure the DUP will submit a response to this. Our party will submit a response to this, but Kirsty and her team have done due diligence in asking for the view of council, and I believe that's what's in the document. Also note in the paragraph that Councillor McClelland refers to, it offers help for farms to transition to these alternatives. So, I mean, it isn't saying that it must be a switch overnight, that we support farmers to be able to do the carbon farming that's envisaged here. So if that support's in place to me, then we should support that. So I'm happy to propose the consultation response.
Thank you, Councillor Nelson. I'm going to bring in Councillor Armstrong, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just coming off the back of the comments from Councillor McClelland, that I propose that as a council we don't submit a response to this draft consultation, and it should be left to each and individual party to do so. So that's my proposal. Thank you.
Can I get a seconder for Councillor Nelson's? Councillor Mallon. Okay, thank you. I'm going to bring in Alderman Berry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to second Councillor Armstrong's proposal. I think that paragraph, which quite rightly Councillor McClelland has very ably, as he usually does, outlined his concerns in relation to the discouragement of any increase in production alongside productivity measures. I think we are speaking with a forked tongue. He's quite right in saying that. If we're promoting the food heartland and promoting the agri culture business within the ABC area, which is a massive rural area, and I think this would be a slap on the face to all farmers out there right across the ABC area, and I would fully support what has been proposed by Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Alderman Berry. Two proposals then. I'm going to bring in Councillor McClelland then, please.
Okay, Chair, and listen, I really appreciate you indulging in terms of letting me in. I think around this whole issue, the elephant in the room is what the just transition cost is going to be. I sat down in Lakeview 2 this morning at one of the public sessions in terms of this consultation, and the officials from the Department of Agriculture were unable or unwilling to put a number on what the cost of the just transition would be. Probably the truth is no one really knows, and probably the best guesstimate is billions of pounds across the 7 sections. So in terms of supporting farmers and so on, the point that Councillor Nelson was making, you know, it is much, much larger than that. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor, I'm going to bring in Councillor Johnson, please.
Thanks, Chair. I was just going to come in and second Councillor Nelson's proposal. As Councillor Nelson said, it is a corporate response. I think it is reasonable. Yes, there is concerns in terms of how the farming sector transforms and transitions, but there is measures in place there to help them. And indeed, many farms are transitioning and doing that just transition themselves with the department's support behind them. So I think it's reasonable to second and go ahead with this response. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. It had been seconded by Councillor Mallon, just for clarity, okay? Members, bear with me 2 seconds just till I get some clarity. Members, we're just going to adjourn for another 2 minutes, okay? Okay, members, we're back. So as Councillor Nelson's proposal was seconded first, it will go to the floor. So can I ask, are we all agreed? If not, we'll go to a vote. Are we all agreed? Oh, okay. Okay, members, the vote that's on the floor is Councillor Nelson's proposal to support the recommendation to support the consultation as set out in Appendix 3. Voting open? Voting is now open. You have voted yet? Okay, members, we'll do scores in the doors then. So for yes, for Councillor Nelson's proposal was 6 and no was 10. So Councillor Nelson's proposal has then fallen, and it will go then to Councillor Armstrong. Can I get you to repeat your proposal, please?
My proposal is that council should not respond to this consultation, and it should be left to each individual party to do so on their behalf.
And that was seconded by Alderman Berry. Okay, members, are we all agreed on that? No? Okay. So that will then go to a vote. Voting open, Wendy? And voting is now open. Oh, sorry, I'm going too quick. Getting shouted at here. Members, we're having a bit of difficulty with this system. We're just going to try it one more time, okay? Okay, members, we're going to go for a manual vote for this one because the system just isn't playing ball at the moment. So whenever I call your name, if you can give me a yes or a no. So we are voting on Councillor Armstrong's proposal, which he has just read out. So no particular order. Alderman Tinsley? Councillor McClelland? Yes. Councillor Armstrong? Yes. Alderman Berry? Yes. Councillor Ratcliffe? Yes. Councillor Alexander? Councillor Johnson? Councillor McConville-Walker? Councillor Donnelly? Councillor Mallon? Councillor McCartan, you're online. You could just indicate to speak. Okay. Councillor Evans? Alderman Barr? We can't see you or hear you, Alderman Barr. Do you want to indicate to come back in? No, we're having the same difficulty. I can hear you now, yes?
Yeah, yes. However, none of the previous speakers, their microphones were not on, so unfortunately, people online would not be able to hear their voting either. But yes.
Thank you, Alderman Barr. Alderman Kennedy? Alderman Kennedy's online, if you can indicate to come in. That's it.
Yes.
Councillor McElrath?
Yes.
I'm a no. I'm going to bring in Councillor Nelson, please, if you can indicate to come in. Okay. Councillor McCartan, are you online?
Yes, I'm online.
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about that. Councillor Nelson, we'll try you one more time. Okay, members, we'll tally that up then. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Alderman Greenfield. Have I missed out anybody else? Okay. Thank you, members. Okay. Okay, members, thank you for your patience on that one. Scores on the doors are yes, 9, no 6. So Councillor Armstrong's proposal then is carried, okay? Members, we're going to move on then to 4.3, please. Can I check who's taken us through that one? Brilliant, Claire, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. So Newry Mourne Down District Council have written to Council, having taken forward a number of notices of motion in relation to Newry Canal. Newry Mourne District Council invite relevant officers and elected members to represent and participate in a Newry Canal task force that will progress opportunities for the regeneration potential of the canal. Initial focus of the task force will be to understand best practice in waterway regeneration, develop collaborative connections and review key waterway strategies that can shape regeneration opportunities and explore any potential funding opportunities. Members are asked to consider a request from Newry Mourne Down District Council to nominate 4 elected members to join a task force to work in partnership to improve Newry Canal and towpath. It is recommended that the Chair and Vice Chair of Environmental Services Committee and the Chair and Vice Chair of Economic Development and Regeneration Committee be nominated. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. I'm going to bring in Councillor McConville Walker, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to propose that proposal there. I think it's great to see that that's coming forward. I'd actually spoken to some of our fellow councillors in Newry Mourne Down Council, and they had talked about, you know, they were really keen to get this going. I mean, that's a part of our own council area that has, you know, obviously it's given us significant links between the two councils, but it's a great opportunity to promote tourism and to encourage people to get out and about into the environment as well. So I'm happy to propose that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McConville Walker. I'm going to bring in Alderman Berry, please.
Thank you, Chair, and I'm happy to second it. As one who served in the Newry Portadown Canal Committee quite a number of years ago in the old Legacy Council, I'm happy to see that this canal task force is coming up because I think it's something that we do need more focus on because of the potential of the canal from Portadown right through to Newry. So it's something that I very much support. There's a lot of volunteers in Land Waterways and them local groups that I think it'd be really good to engage with, because I've seen them at several events and they really do miss that sort of engagement that the members would have had, you know, with officers and ourselves. So I really welcome this here. I see it's Newry Canal Task Force. I'm wondering, because if they're looking to link us in, could we put Newry Portadown Canal Task Force in? I'm only asking that to see if that is something could be suggested if they're looking us to work in partnership with them. But in principle, I'm happy to second it. And I understand, I would like to understand or think, Claire, that there will be a report then come of what is discussed and agreed at this particular committee in due course. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Alderman Barry, and we'll make a note of your suggestions there as well. Members, I have a proposer and seconder on the table then. So are we all agreed then to move on? Okay. 4.4 then, Kirsty is going to take us through this one.
Chair, elected members, presented in front of you is Council's draft 2025-2030 Climate and Sustainability Action Plan. You're all aware that Council is committed to tackling climate change, including adoption of a Climate and Sustainability Action Plan, which can be found in Appendix 5. So this action plan details the actions to reduce the environmental impact of its activities and the steps to become carbon neutral. Council's Climate and Sustainability Action Plan's purpose is to set meaningful targets to address, improve and complement sustainable development and tackle climate change for the period mentioned 2025 to 2030, subject to review because it will be constantly monitored and reviewed as we work through it. So detailed within the plan, we have adopted a themed approach, and there was quite a lot of consultation amongst officers ahead of department level and colleagues within our own climate sustainability department. We had a working group and we all sat and we discussed the various themes. So you have the social, you have the economic, you have the environmental, and it's been all brought together. And you can see that there's the energy, transport, governance, environment and resources. So the aims are to champion sustainability and be an exemplar to others, that's our council ourselves, to help the borough achieve net zero by 2050, to build climate resilience within our communities, and to improve operational efficiency. So as I've already mentioned, the action plan will be implemented, monitored and reviewed. So there'll be an element of leadership, funding, it will be audited and reviewed, and the action plan is presented in front of you in Appendix 5, and the recommendation is that members approve the Climate Sustainability Action Plan that has been presented.
Thank you for that, Kirsty. Can I get a proposer and seconder, please, from the floor? Proposed by Councillor Johnson and seconded by Councillor Evans. Thank you very much, members. I have no further lights on. 4.5. Yeah, then we're going to go into our information items, 4.5, and I believe Marcus is going to talk on this one.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. We have a long-standing association with National Parks and Wildlife Service in the Republic of Ireland. We've swapped and sold them animals, and I've done several presentations and we've discussed projects in the past. Several months ago, I was approached by a divisional manager in the department who asked if we'd be keen to submit a concept note around the development of 3 projects. He'd been asked by his department, which is Heritage, Environment and Local Government, for consideration by the Minister through the Shared Island Fund. As a result of that, we have submitted 3 concept notes. One for €30 million is for the building of 4 farms, that is animal handling facilities, a visitor centre to engage and educate the public, 2 in the north and 2 in the south, including at Tannockmore Farm. A further project of €10 million to set up a reward system for farmers on meeting biodiversity targets on their farms. And the third project is for €5 million, and it aims to develop the habitat and information around 2 butterfly species that are related. One of them is only found in the site that they're building a farm down in the Borough, and in our case there's a closely related species that has only been discovered in the last 10 years. The largest population probably in the British Isles and Ireland exists at Craigavon Lakes just beside us here. So members, I'd ask you to note the submission of the concept note.
Thank you, Marcus. Members, be happy to note? Okay. Then 4.6, my favourite topic. I don't think I need to declare an interest. I'm going to go to Kirsty for that one, please.
Through the Chair, quite a while ago, back in 2022, elected members will be aware that the NIEV consortium, which involves 9 councils, were awarded OZEV and EFI funding up to the region of 1.3 million for each council to put in 12 EV charge points, which are to be on street for people without driveways so they could charge their vehicles. Back in 2022, there were proposals put forward for 12 different locations throughout the borough, the geographical area. Original locations were residential, and there's been quite a lot of consideration. The contract has been awarded and will be going to committee this month. The concession agreement, it has been awarded to Weave. Weave have been in contact with council, and there have been alternative proposals put forward because some of the locations that were originally put forward in 2022 weren't deemed satisfactory. So new proposals have come forward, which officers are currently considering and discussing, because since 2022 we have taken over the operation of DAERA car parks. So there are some car parks that are close to residential areas that don't have driveways so they don't have EV charge points. So officers are currently looking at 12 sites. Well, we're actually proposing 15 in case some don't work. And this is just an item for noting that we are considering them. They may change, they may not, but we'll keep elected members up to date. And it's just for members to note that we're currently considering with Weave alternative locations.
Thank you, Kirsty. I'm going to bring in Alderman Greenfield, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Kirsty, for the report. I know a lot of work did go in this in the past. Can I ask just two questions on it? Can we feed into this where we think would be appropriate, or is it not that sort of thing? Because I know we do sometimes have residents that contact us about it, and as we go around, I had an EV vehicle at a time, but I don't at the moment, but you go around, you do see places and you go like, that's the most stupid place for that to be. It's nowhere near anybody and his opinion. So I'm just wondering, are we able to feed into that if it was to go to Weave, or where are we currently at? Out of the 12 that was originally picked, how many of them are staying the same? Are they all changing? It's just, because I know there's a lot of talk about this for quite a number of years with council. You know, thank you.
Kirsty, I'll bring you back in to answer that then. Thank you.
Chair, 4 out of the 12 have remained, but they're still being considered. If elected members do have any locations that they would like considered and they meet the criteria, get in touch with me. I will share the criteria with you so you know what the criteria is for the OZEV, for the funding application, and we'll gladly take on any locations that you propose.
You content, Alderman Greenfield? Okay, thank you. Alderman Berry?
Very briefly, Chair, thank you, and thank you, Kirsty. Just out of interest, those towns and locations where there already are charging points, will those charging points be remaining, and will that be an additional number?
I'll bring you back in, Kirsty.
There will be double up of charging locations because we do have ESB and now we're going to have Wave. So there will be proposals to increase the number of charge points because they're going to be double stations, so it'll take up at least 3.5 parking bays, so it'll increase. But these locations that we're looking at with Weave are predominantly for residential areas, so they have to be within a 5-minute walking distance of a house, residential areas.
Okay. Councillor McClellan, please.
Yes, Chair, thank you for letting me in. Thank you, Kirsty, for the report. And I would just say that I agree with the previous two speakers in terms of the questions and so on. And I think that this is a very good news story because it's not that many years ago when we were involved with East Border region and we didn't have the capacity and we couldn't take advantage. So it is good that we have moved on. So very well done. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll bring in Councillor Ratcliffe, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Kirsty, for the report. Alderman Berry sort of beat me to it. I was just going to ask the question, was there going to be any towns that would be doubling up? I'd like to request that some other areas in Coushair would definitely be considered, Market Hill and maybe Rich Hill area there, because they're not mentioned in this here, if I could put that forward, if possible. Thanks again, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Ratcliffe, and officers will make a note, okay? Alderman Tinsley, please.
Yep, thank you, Chair. And Kirsty, just to add to the list, I was going to send you an email, but just whenever everybody else is raising it, Kernan and Killigamane playing fields, I think, would actually be very beneficial areas if we could add that to the area of consideration. Okay, thank you.
Okay, members, we're all happy to note that. Great. That takes us to 5.1, and I believe Lisa is going to take us through this one.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. This is a regular report on information on our Northern Ireland Local Authority Waste Statistics report that has come through for Q4 data. All councils submit extensive waste tonnage data which is collected and disposed of via waste data flow system, which informs the DAERA wider report and is used to show performance. Some of the key points are highlighted within the report, and members are asked to note the report. Thank you.
Okay, members, be happy to note? Okay, no lights on. Item agenda 6, we have no correspondence. Can I seek a proposer and seconder to go into committee for consideration of the confidential items of business, please? Proposed by Councillor Alexander and seconded by Councillor Ratcliffe. Okay, members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, we will now be moving into a confidential session of the Council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting has restarted. Can I ask the ICT officers to please turn off the feed and confirm with me when the confidential section of this meeting can proceed, please? Okay, thank you. Members, can I get a proposer and seconder to agree the decisions adopted in the committee, please? Proposed by Councillor Donnelly, seconded by Councillor McClellan. Thank you. Members, we have no AOB, so thank you for your patience this evening.